Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. It is Monday it's Monday evening, October 25th. We're going to be going over the Week 7 snap counts here. I use ProFootballReference.com. You guys can look at this for yourself, but we're just going to kind of click into each box score. We'll take a look at the snap counts and just go over the box scores themselves. So we're going to start with the Thursday night football game, Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. Browns win 17-14. This one was in Cleveland. Starting with the snap counts, and we know the Browns were really dinged up coming into this one. As far as snap counts here, their leading guy was D'Ernest Johnson, the running back, with 69% of the snaps. Behind him, you see Austin Hooper get 65%. Odell Beckham led the ways for receivers at 61%. David Njoku, 59%. So the heavy two tight end rotation here between Njoku, and Hooper. Rashard Higgins comes in at number 2 for receivers, 59%. Jarvis Lander, his first game back from injury, 54% for him. You have a third tight end getting some snaps here. That's Harrison Bryant with 42%, and then some backup receivers here. Anthony Schwartz, 41%. Demetric Felton, 31%. And then the only other running back to get some snaps here was John Kelly, technically, I guess he's more the third string running back. I guess Demetric Felton's a running back / receiver. But the majority of snaps, man, they went to D'Ernest Johnson, the 2 tight ends, and Odell Beckham here. So let's take a peek here at the Broncos side of things. Courtland Sutton led the way. I guess Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick both here at 94% of the snaps. Noah Fant up here at 90%. Melvin Gordon beat out Javonte Williams for snaps. Melvin had 58%. Third wide receiver Kendall Hinton here at 48%. He's probably going to be, pushed down the totem pole here with Jerry Jeudy coming back. The backup tight end Eric Saubert, 42%, and Javonte Williams only 42%. So we saw more Melvin than Javonte in this one, a little bit strange. John Brown finally got some snaps with the Broncos here at 12%. So let's go take a peek at the numbers, the box score, and see what we can take from this. On the Broncos side, Teddy Bridgewater, 23 of 33 passing, only 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked twice and only added 3 yards with his legs. Javonte Williams, 4 carries, only 20 yards, but he had 7 targets in this one, 6 catches, 32 yards, and a receiving touchdown. So showing that he's a very useful PPR back. Again, only 4 carries is disappointing, but I like the usage in the passing game. Melvin Gordon had 8 carries for 18 yards, and Melvin had only 3 targets, but he had 2 catches, 14 yards, and a touchdown. So both guys score a receiving touchdown and both using the passing game. Courtland Sutton here, 5 targets. He catches all 5 of them for 68 yards. Noah Fant led the way with 7 targets on the day, 5 for 39. Tim Patrick, 5 targets, but only 2 for 16. Kendall Hinton, 2 for 15. And then really nothing else to really mention here. It's just a really slow day for the Broncos offense. Teddy Bridgewater, 23 of 33 is fine, but the average depth of target was pretty low here at 187 total yards. And just really nothing else stuck out for fantasy. I guess if you use Courtland Sutton, if you use Noah Fant, you kind of got some floor games, but Tim Patrick disappointed. And thankfully, Javonte and Melvin got the receiving touchdowns. On the Brown side, you see Case Keenum get the spot start for Baker Mayfield. He might be starting for a few games too. We'll see what happens with Baker's shoulder. But Case Keenum, 21 of 33, 199 yards. He gets 1 passing touchdown, 7 rushing yards for Keenum here. But this was all about D'Ernest Johnson, 22 rushing attempts for 146 yards and 1 TD. He also added 2 receptions for 22 yards. So if you were able to pick up D'Ernest Johnson and start him, you were well rewarded for doing so. We know Kareem Hunt is on IR for at least the next 2 games, and Nick Chubb dealing with some kind of a calf strain. It could be D'Ernest Johnson again this week in week 8 coming up. So looking like a potential running back 1. Again, we'll have to watch the health of Nick Chubb. But Demetric Felton was the running back 2 in this one. He only gets 2 carries for 13 yards. He adds 3 receptions and 21 yards as a receiver. John Kelly just 2 for 13 on the ground. Johnny Stanton got some run here. He actually had a rushing touchdown here, or a receiving touchdown. So that's interesting. Really nothing to note for him. But Austin Hooper, 3 targets, 2 for 42. So 6.2 PPR day. Jarvis Landry led the way with targets, 8 total targets for Landry, 5 for 37. So we're excited to get him probably back in our lineups. Again, he was 3rd for the receivers and snaps, but he leads the way in targets. So that's a huge sign for Case Keenum liking the Jarvis Landry. Odell Beckham, 6 targets, only 2 for 23. kind of getting hard to trust at this point. David Njoku only 2 for 18, Harrison Bryant 1 for 15, Rashard Higgins 1 for 22, and then Anthony Schwartz here 2 for 22. So as far as Browns that we're going to trust, I think is if Dearness Johnson is the starter, I like him as a fringe running back one coming up, and then Jarvis Lander is pretty much the only reliable target that I think I'm going to trust. And the Broncos, it's going to be interesting. They host Washington in Week 8. They get Jerry Jeudy back, so Tim Patrick's probably going to take a back seat, but I would expect Jeudy, Fant, Sutton, and then the running backs to both be involved. So again, Cleveland 17, Broncos 14. We'll move on to Houston and Arizona here. The Cardinals take this one 31-5, moving to 7-0. We'll be quick with this one. I don't even really care about reading off the Texans snap counts, but the one to note, Brandon Cooks played 95% of the snaps, and then Nico Collins 62% of the snaps here. And David Johnson, just with how bad this team is, they're going to be trailing and having to use David Johnson in the passing game. So 54% of the snaps for him. He's an interesting guy, I guess, in low PPR leagues. But really, it's only Cooks. And then Nico Collins getting a good chance to maybe to impress us here as he's getting the second most snaps as a receiver. For the Cardinals here, Kyler Murray didn't play the full game. They had this one wrapped up here, but A.J. Green led the way for players with snaps, 85% of the snaps. DeAndre Hopkins, 83%. Christian Kirk, 72% of the snaps. And then Chase Edmonds, this one was interesting because we saw James Conner kind of take the lead role the last couple games, and Chase Edmonds took it back, getting 69% of the snaps. Rondale Moore up here at 52%. Zach Ertz, his first game with the team, he gets 49% of the snaps. We'll talk about his numbers in a second. And then Demetrius Harris logged a good amount of snaps at 30%. And James Conner, a game where they win 31-5, only 30% of the snaps for James Conner. I thought that was kind of interesting. So let's dive into the box score here. Went too high up. On the Cardinals side, Kyler Murray just hyper efficient, 20 of 28, 261 passing and 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception and only 10 yards rushing. He just hasn't really been using his legs as much as he did in the first 3 games of the year. As far as running backs go, Chase Edmonds, 15 attempts, 81 yards, only 1 reception for 9 yards. James Conner, 10 attempts, 64 yards, and he gets the rushing touchdown at the end of the game to salvage your day. Jonathan Ward, Benjamin, whatever. Zach Ertz actually had a rushing attempt in this one for 4 yards. You saw 5 targets, 3 for 66, and a touchdown. We can't expect him to get a 47-yard touchdown every week, but I like the 5 targets. He's going to be a fringe tight end 1 going forward. A.J. Green, 3 targets, but he goes 3 for 66. He has a high enough floor to trust as a wide receiver 3 flex. DeAndre Hopkins led the way in targets, 9 total targets, 7 for 53 and a touchdown here. Christian Kirk, only 5 targets, but 4 for 50 and a touchdown. I believe there's only been 1 game where Christian Kirk has disappointed us. So I think A.J. Green and Christian Kirk are probably both wide receiver 3 flexes until further notice. And then Rondale Moore, he did play a little bit more, but only 2 for 17. At this point, I just don't know if it's going to happen. As long as A.J. Green and Kirk are healthy, and then with the addition of Zach Ertz, Rondale Moore's kind of that 5th option in the passing game, so I'm not too excited. Maybe he might even be the 6th option behind Chase Edmonds, so probably not going to happen for Rondale Moore unless there's an injury. And then real quick, on the Texans side, it sounds like Deshaun Watson's going to get moved before November 2nd, the trade deadline there, but Davis Mills, 23 of 32, only 135 passing yards. He was sacked twice, 1 fumble lost. As far as the running backs, David Johnson, 7 of 25, 6 targets, 5 for 27 as a receiver. So he's getting looks in the passing game. It's kind of a dirty PPR RB2 play, but again, he's getting enough workload to be mentioned here. Nico Collins, 5 targets, 2 for 28. Brandon Cooks led the way with targets, 7, but only 5 catches for 21 yards. They didn't have a receiver go over 28 yards. So overall, pretty frustrating day. If you're relying on the Houston Texans for fantasy, probably not going to be a very fruitful situation for you. So the Cardinals moved to 7-0, 31-5 over the Texans. Our third game, we'll go look at the Packers and the Washington football team. Green Bay moves to 6-1. They beat the football team 24-10. Washington falls to 2-5. Let's take a peek at the snap counts in this one. Where did they go? As far as the Packers go, Alan Lazard led the way for snaps at 91%, Devontae Adams 86%, Aaron Jones 73% of the snaps, and Robert Tonyan 68%. Randall Cobb up here at 62%, and then really nothing else needs to be noted here. Mercedes Lewis 38%, A.J. Dillon 23%. A.J. Dillon kind of had a rough game in this one, but the Packers, Alan Lazard, man, with MVS out, he's been turning into the go-to number 2 receiver for the Packers. Let me quick take a peek at the football team counts. Terry McLaurin, 92%. I should note that Ricky Seals-Jones played 100% of the snaps. He's kind of, with Logan Thomas out, they just plugged him right into the Logan Thomas role where Thomas was getting 100%. Ricky Seals does the same. So he gets the lead here. Terry McLaurin, again, 92%. Adam Humphries was the number 2 receiver with 69% of the snaps. With Green Bay up ahead for most of this one, J.D. McKissic got more snaps at 64%. DeAndre Carter was the 3rd wide receiver, 54%. There's Antonio Gibson at 42%. Dax Milne, the wide receiver, 40%. And then really nothing else here. We did see Diami Brown leave the game. I don't know if he's going to be on the IR or whatnot, but for only 14% for him. Jarrett Patterson only got 1 snap in this game, so nothing really to note. As far as Washington goes, Ricky Seals-Jones remains a must start while Logan Thomas is out. Terry McLaurin, you're going to continue to use him. But J.D. McKissic and Antonio Gibson at the moment right now, they both have running back 2 value for PPR leagues. The numbers for Taylor Heineke on the day, 25 of 37, 268 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he was sacked 4 times. But, man, he added 10 rushing attempts for 95 total yards. So he had a long of 38 in this one. He looked really athletic, just using his legs to extend plays. He also lost a fumble in this one. Antonio Gibson led the way for carries, 14 for 51. He caught both of his targets for 5 yards. He also had a fumble inside the 5 or the 10-yard line. Washington did recover it, but his day was kind of done after that, just having to come back and use J.D. McKissic as a weapon. DeAndre Carter here, he had a 27-yard carry, 1 catch for 4 yards. But J.D. McKissic, 4 carries, 22 yards. He saw 6 targets, 4 for 34. So not a super exciting day. It was almost 10 PPR points, so I guess you'll take it. That's 9.6 PPR points. Terry McLaurin had himself a day, though. 12 targets, 7 for 122, and a touchdown. The only touchdown on the day for Washington. Ricky Seals-Jones, he had a slow start, but he rallied well in the second half. 7 targets, 6 for 51. You're going to take that as a tight end 1 in PPR right now. And then Adam Humphries, 4 targets, 3 for 36. Dax Milne, 2 for 16. Kind of whatever. So the football team at 2-5, man, they're heading to Denver this week. Ryan Fitzpatrick's rumored to be, ahead of his timetable for return, so we're watching to see what happens here. But Heineke and the offense, they continue to show fight, but a couple times in the red zone they got stalled out here. So it could have been a better day. Maybe left 2 touchdowns, at least 1 for sure on the board here, so it could have been more. But continue to use Terry McLaurin. Antonio Gibson's a low-end running back 2 right now, and J.D. McKissic's the PPR option for you as a flex running back 2. On the Packers side of things, Aaron Rodgers, 27 of 35, 274 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. He also added 17 yards on the ground. Aaron Jones, quiet running day for Green Bay. Aaron Jones only 6 for 19 on the ground, but he catches all 5 of his targets for 20 yards. So this is a floor for Aaron Jones here. He ended up with, 8.9 points, it looks like. So nothing too exciting, but again, this is a floor for him. He's gonna fall into touchdowns soon in the games where they can establish the run. But Equanimous St. Brown, he gets a carry for 13 yards, 1 target, no catches. A.J. Dillon had a rough game, 3 attempts for 6 yards. He also had 1 catch for 2 yards, and he did lose a fumble in this one. Kylan Hill got some carries for 2 yards and a target here. But Devontae Adams on the day, he led the way for targets, 7 total targets, 6 for 76 and a score. And Robert Tonyan, he might be back. 5 targets, 4 for 63 and a touchdown for him. Allen Lazard, 6 targets, 5 for 60 and a touchdown for him. So this is looking pretty good for these 3 guys going forward. I know they're going to be heading to Arizona on Thursday Night Football. Devontae Adams probably not going to play in that one as he was put on the COVID list earlier today. So Robert Tonyan, Allen Lazard, these guys might be of interest to us as a wide receiver 3 flex or the tight end 1 for Robert Tonyan. Mercedes Lewis had a decent game, 3 for 31. Randall Cobb, 3 for 22. But overall, it's kind of a weird day for Green Bay. They threw the ball a lot more than we've been seeing them do it, and they kind of turned away from the running game. But everything was working in the passing game. So I'll continue to use Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and we'll see what we can use for Devontae Adams replacements. My bad. Excuse me. We'll move on to the Atlanta Falcons and the Miami Dolphins. This was a really fun game. The Falcons win it on a game last-second field goal here by Younghoe Koo. 30-28, the Falcons move to 3-3. Miami falls to 1-6. Let's take a peek at the snap counts for the Dolphins here. Tua Tagovailoa played a whole healthy game here of 100%. And then after that, Jalen Waddle led the way for snaps, 84% of the snaps for him. Mike Gesicki up here at 82%. These guys are really the most trustworthy pieces in the offense right now. Backup tight end Adam Shaheen, 70% of the snaps. Myles Gaskin, 63% of the snaps. Mac Hollins was wide receiver 2, up here at 53%. Preston Williams, wide receiver 3. Good for 41% of the snaps. Another tight end here, Durham Smith, 40% of the snaps. And then you see the backup running back, Salvin Ahmed, at 30%. Isaiah Ford, whatever. Malcolm Brown's actually got hurt in this one with a quad injury. He's on IR for the next 3 weeks at least. He only played 7% of the snaps. So that's kind of good news, I guess, for Salvin Ahmed and Myles Gaskin going forward. We should look at the numbers in a sec for those guys and try to forecast that. On the Atlanta Falcons side, interesting game here. Cordero Patterson got the start, and Mike Davis was kind of phased out of the offense in this one. Cordero Patterson goes for 73% of the snaps. Calvin Ridley as well, 73% of the snaps. And Kyle Pitts, 67% of the snaps. Russell Gage gets 63% as the wide receiver 2. Mike Davis, again, he played a lot, but the box score doesn't really show this. 60% of the snaps for Mike Davis. Hayden Hurst, 59%. Lee Smith, 41%. Kind of just a bunch of nothing down here. So let's take a peek at the numbers in this one. Matt Ryan, 25 of 40. 336 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also lost a fumble in this one. But Cordero Patterson getting 14 carries to Mike Davis's 4. CPAT goes 14 for 60 and a rushing touchdown, 5 targets, but only 2 receptions and 1 yard as a receiver. So quiet day as a receiver, but he gets the touchdown. He gets the nice PPR floor there of about 14 points. Mike Davis, only 4 attempts for 10 yards, 0 targets in this one. So he played 60% of the snaps, but he just couldn't get anything going, only 1 PPR point. Wayne Gallman's here. Kyle Pitts here, though, had himself a nice day. And he's a top 5 tight end at the moment right now, I think, going forward. 8 targets, 7 receptions for 163 yards. So they're using him vertically. He's so good with the yards after the catch. Good things are coming Kyle Pitts' way. Russell Gage is back. 6 targets, 4 for 67, and a touchdown. That might have been something that this offense was missing, that the shippy kind of slot receiver here. Hayden Hurst, 3 for 35 as a receiver. Calvin Ridley, a team-high 10 targets, only 4 for 26, but he gets the touchdown. So his first game back, we'll see if Calvin Ridley can get some momentum going. And then Taji Sharp, Olamide Zaccheaus, Lee Smith, Keith Smith, don't really care about these guys. On the Dolphins side of things, Tua Tagovailoa played really well, just a couple bad turnovers. 32 of 40 passing, 291 yards, and 4 touchdowns. But again, 2 interceptions. He also added 29 yards on the ground rushing. With the injury to Malcolm Brown, who before he left, he had 3 carries for 10 yards, 1 target, 1 reception, and for -1 yards here. So 4 touches. And then with him getting out of the picture, you see Gaskin and Salvin Ahmed become more reliable. So Gaskin, 15 attempts, 67 yards rushing, 4 receptions for 10 yards and the touchdown. So Gaskin playing well with Tua. Salvin Ahmed here, 7 attempts for 26 yards on the ground, 2 receptions for 26 yards as a receiver. He's a guy here that might be interesting on the waiver wire coming up this week. Mike Gesicki, 8 targets, 7 for 85, and a touchdown. He's been playing really well the last month or so. You see Jalen Waddle here, 8 targets, 7 for 83. No touchdowns, but man, he continues to look like a pretty good wide receiver 3 flex option for us. Durham Smythe, 3 for 37. Adam Shaheen, 4 for 23. Mac Hollins, the second wide receiver on the day, gets 2 for 13 and a touchdown. Isaiah Ford also caught a touchdown here for 10 yards. And Preston Williams, a rough day, 4 targets, only 1 for 5. But Miami, the offense is showing fight. The defense is just really, really bad. So I'm going to continue to bank on Tua. Probably Gaskin at the moment right now. Gesicki and Jalen Waddle. We'll see if the receivers for Miami can get healthier. So again, Atlanta 30, the Dolphins 28. This game was interesting. The Patriots and the Jets. The Patriots win 54-13. Patriots move to 3-4. Jets fall to 1-5 off their bye week. We'll scroll on down to the box or to the snap counts here for the Jets. Jamison Crowder led the way, 80% of the snaps here. Tight end Ryan Griffin getting 77%. We did see an injury to our guy Zach Wilson here. So that let Mike White get 72% of the snaps at QB. Michael Carter took a sizable share of the running back workload in this one, 72% for him. Corey Davis, 72%. Elijah Moore, we see more emphasis on getting Elijah Moore on the field, 57% for him. He seems to have hopped Keelan Cole here, who had 40%. Ty Johnson got hurt in this one. He's at 32%. Denzel Mims got some playtime at 31%. And then as for the Patriots, Mac Jones, he didn't have to play the full game. He played 84% of the snaps, so all these numbers might be reduced a little bit. But Hunter Henry led the way as far as non-QB, non-offensive lineman players at 79% of the snaps. Jacoby Myers, 78%. Nelson Aguilar, 57%. Kendrick Bourne, 54%. Damian Harris, who had a really good game, 46%. N'Keal Harry got some run here at 39% of the snaps. And then Jacob Johnson, just a bunch of backup running backs here, and Jonnu Smith did get hurt for 22%. So let's go take a look. The Patriots, man, they had pretty much everybody did something in this game. You look at the box score here for these guys. 1 second. But Mac Jones goes 24 of 36, 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was sacked once, and he did add 19 yards on the ground as a runner. Brian Hoyer came in, threw for 79 yards. Yeah, we'll ignore that. But Kendrick Bourne, he had a 25-yard touchdown pass. He also caught 4 receptions for 68 yards. So interesting game for Kendrick Bourne. Damian Harris was the leading runner of the game, 14 attempts, 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Only 2 targets and 2 receptions as a receiver. I guess for 7 yards. J.J. Taylor goes 9 for 21 and 2 touchdowns in garbage time. 1 target, 1 reception for 5 yards here. Jonnu Smith has a rushing attempt, 5 targets, 2 for 52. He did leave early in this one, but he was a huge piece of the offense at the beginning of the game. Brandon Bolden, only 2 attempts for 0 yards, but he gets 7 targets, 6 for 79 as a receiver and a receiving touchdown. Nelson Aguilar here, 5 targets, 2 for 51 and a touchdown. Jacoby Myers, a floor game for Jacoby Myers, 7 targets, 5 for 44 here. Jacob Johnson, 2 for 32. N'Keal Harry, 1 for 28. And then Hunter Henry, quiet day, only 4 targets, but 2 for 23. And he gets the touchdown in his 4th straight game. So heavy Patriots day here. Pretty much everybody got to touch the ball and do something exciting. As far as the Jets, Mike White came in and played fine. The Jets just traded for Joe Flacco this afternoon. So it looks like he's going to be the guy for the next few weeks while Zach Wilson's out. But Mike White, 20 of 32, 202 yards and a touchdown, sacked once and 2 interceptions. Zach Wilson struggled. He looked actually okay at the beginning, 6 of 10 for 51 yards, but he got knocked out in this one, I think, in the second quarter. Michael Carter led the way on the ground, 11 for 37 here. A team high, 9 targets, 8 for 67. He did lose a fumble here, but a high PPR day for Carter. Elijah Moore gets the rushing touchdown today, 1 for 19 and a rushing touchdown. He also had 6 targets, only caught 1 for 13. So I like the targets. Maybe that's something that's going to connect coming forward with Joe Flacco. Ty Johnson, he did leave early in this one, 6 receptions for 65 yards on 7 targets. Corey Davis, 6 targets, but 4 for 47 and a touchdown here. That was a good day for him. Jamison Crowder, a quiet day, 4 for 34 as a receiver, and then really nothing else manifested here for the New York Jets. But with Joe Flacco coming to town, who knows when we'll see Zach Wilson next. Joe Flacco might actually be able to elevate some of the receivers for the New York Jets. We'll move on to the New York Giants and the Carolina Panthers. This one just makes my head hurt. The Panthers only post 3 points, falling to the Giants 25-3. The Giants are 2-5. Panthers go to 3-4. Let's look at the snap counts in this one. DJ Moore led the way at 97%, Robbie Anderson 95%, Ian Thomas led the tight ends 70% of the snaps. Sam Darnold was benched in this one. He played 70% of the game. And then you see Tommy Tremble here, 55%, Chuba Hubbard, 53%, and then just kind of a bunch of nothing the rest of the way. On the Giants side, you see Daniel Jones played the full game. Devontae Booker logged 82% of the snaps. Darius Slayton was the team's leading receiver, up here at 61%. Evan Ingram, same thing, 61% of the snaps. A heavy 2 tight end day here. Kyle Rudolph gets 57%, and then you get a trio of receivers here. John Ross plays 51%, Dante Pettis plays 49%, and David Sills down here at 38%. And really nothing else to note there. Let's take a look at the numbers in the box score. For the Giants, You see Daniel Jones go 23 of 33, 203 yards and a touchdown. He was sacked twice, but he also added 28 yards as a rusher and had a nice catch for 16 yards. So kind of a fun play here. Dante Pettis threw him the ball. Pettis had a 16-yard completion. And then Pettis also had 5 targets, 5 catches, 39 yards, and a touchdown. So it looks like life after San Francisco is doing some good things for Dante Pettis here. Devontae Booker led the way, 14 attempts, 51 yards, and a touchdown here, 2 for 15 as a receiver. So if you plugged in Booker, you were rewarded here with a nice double-digit day. Not much for Elijah Penny here, just 9 for 24 as a backup. Darius Slayton led the way for targets, 9 total targets, 5 for 63. Evan Ingram, 8 targets, 6 for 44 as a receiver. So a high floor for Evan Ingram here, as long as he's getting those targets and those receivers are going to be dinged up. Evan Ingram's an interesting guy. And then just not much else. John Ross, 2 for 27. Kyle Rudolph, 2 for 8. Colin Johnson, 1 for 7. Just kind of nothing here at the end of the bench. But these Carolina Panthers, man, Sam Darnold gets benched in this one. He goes 16 of 25 for only 111 yards. 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times. So rough day for Sam Darnold. You see Philip Walker come in, and he even played probably worse. 3 of 14 passing for 33 yards and 3 sacks. He did add a 13-yard rush. Chuba Hubbard, really rough day, 12 attempts for 28 yards on the ground. He did catch 4 of his 5 targets for 28 yards. So fine for a PPR floor, I suppose. Royce Freeman got some looks here, 3 for 18, 1 catch for a yard as a receiver. But DJ Moore continuing to do his thing, 10 total targets, 6 for 73. You'll take that as a floor game here. Keith Kirkwood, 5 targets, 3 for 16. Robbie Anderson, 9 targets, but only 3 for 14 as a receiver. Tommy Tremble, 2 for 12, and then nothing out of Ian Thomas, Colin Thompson, or Shi Smith here. So really frustrating day. If you have any Panthers players right now, it's pretty much DJ Moore and Chuba Hubbard while CMC is out. So really rough day. At this point, we can't trust Sam Darnold. Who knows? Maybe Deshaun Watson gets involved here in Carolina. It's very suspect here. Besides DJ Moore, and then Chuba Hubbard right now is kind of just a low end running back 2 play at the moment. So let's move on here to another jaw-dropping game here. The Tennessee Titans, Kansas City Chiefs. The Titans win 27-3. The Chiefs fall to 3-4. Titans 5-2. Patrick Mahomes left early in this one. Let me read the numbers for the Chiefs here. Mahomes played 75% of the snaps. So we know it was a rough day all around. But Demarcus Robinson was the highest skill player here at 79%. Travis Kelce played 74%. Tyreek Hill played 72%. Mecole Hardman, third wide receiver here, 68% of the snaps. Darrell Williams only saw 64%. Byron Pringle, who played well, 47% for him. Backup tight end Noah Gray here. Jerick McKinnon got 31% of the snaps. And then Chad Henne again did play 25%. Josh Gordon, 11%. You probably don't need to hold on to him anymore. But the Titans, man, this was all about the Titans. Ryan Tannehill, 99% of the snaps here. They had a Derrick Henry Wildcat play that we'll get to in a second. But Derrick Henry plays 74% of the snaps. A.J. Brown, 62%. 2 tight ends here, Jeff Swaim and Michael Pruitt. Swaim gets 56%. Pruitt gets 54%. There's Josh Reynolds at 44%. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, 43%. Marcus Johnson, 43%. Julio Jones, 43%. So they're kind of using a huge committee here as their number 2, number 3 receiver behind A.J. Brown. And then Anthony Firkser, man, just not getting it done as a receiver, only 35% of the snaps for him. And then Jeremy McNichols, Darrington Evans got some snaps here at the end of the game. But let's take a peek at this Titans box score. Tannehill, super efficient, 21 of 27 for 270 yards and a passing touchdown. He was sacked once. He did have an interception, but he added 6 yards and a rushing touchdown on the day to boost his totals. Derrick Henry, 1 for 1 passing for 5 yards and a touchdown. He goes 29 attempts for 86 rushing yards, 2 for 16 as a receiver. So no rushing touchdowns, no receiving touchdowns, but you get a Derrick Henry passing touchdown. So a floor game here for Derrick Henry. You'll take it. Move on to the next week. Darrington Evans got the second most carries, 2 for 7, 2 for 11 as a receiving weapon. So he's kind of back. I know Jeremy McNichols was kind of the running back 2 for a while here while Evans is out, but it looks like Evans is the clear backup to Derrick Henry. We see A.J. Brown get a team-high 9 targets, 8 for 133, and a touchdown. Huge day for A.J. Brown. And then really nothing else from everybody else. Julio Jones, 4 targets, 2 for 38. Like I honestly, I don't know if I can trust Julio Jones in my lineup at this point with his hamstring right now. Michael Pruitt caught the touchdown from Derrick Henry, 2 for 27 in the score. Josh Reynolds, 3 for 23. Ferkser only 1 for 9, Swaim 1 for 8. The Titans are very easy. Tannehill's a fringe quarterback 1. You're starting Derrick Henry. You're starting A.J. Brown. And that's about it. If you got Julio Jones, I'm probably trying to move him if I can. And then the Chiefs, man. Patrick Mahomes goes 20 of 35 for 206 yards, 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times in this one, but he does add 35 yards as a rusher, and he did lose a fumble in this one. Chad Henne came in 11 for 16, 82 yards. 1 for 4 on the ground here. But Darrell Williams, lead running back, 5 for 20, 3 for 30 as a receiver. So you'll take your 8 points, I suppose. Tyreek Hill did have a decent floor day, 1 attempt for 18 yards, and then 6 for 49 as a receiver. Byron Pringle, the leading receiver on the day here for 5 receptions, 73 yards. Travis Kelce had 12 total targets, but only 7 for 65. Mecole Hardman, if you started him, you were let down, 4 for 28 and a fumble lost. Jerick McKinnon, Marcus Camp, just a bunch of nothing down the line here. So we're nervous about the Chiefs. We'll see if Patrick Mahomes and company can bounce back. They're going to play the Giants, I think, on Monday Night Football in Week 8. So we're not going to panic just yet. Hopefully this is just a one-time thing here. But definitely concerned in Kansas City at the moment right now as they're off to a 3-4 start. I think this was the first game that Mahomes his team just didn't score a touchdown. So pretty alarming stuff, I suppose. We have the Raiders and we have the Philadelphia Eagles next. Raiders win 33-22. You have the Raiders moving to 5-2 and the Eagles falling to 2-5. Take a peek at these snap counts here. On the Eagles side here, with Zach Ertz out of town, you see Dallas Goedert playing 93% of the snaps. Devonta Smith here at 87%. Jalen Reagor was the wide receiver 2 on the day with 81%. Quez Watkins, 72%. Miles Sanders had an ankle injury in this one, so we see Kenneth Gainwell take the lead here at 51% of the snaps. Boston Scott got 33%. And then Sanders down here at 17%. So with Sanders out, they're going to go Gainwell and then Boston Scott. It looks like Kenneth Gainwell is going to probably get a 2-for-1. So every 2 plays that Gainwell gets, Boston Scott will get 1. So it sounds like a not so serious ankle sprain for Sanders, but he's probably going to miss a couple games at minimum. On the Raiders side of things here, you see Bryan Edwards, 89% of the snaps. Henry Ruggs, 71%. Hunter Renfro gets 55%. And then interesting, no Darren Waller in this one. Foster Moreau logged 100% of the snaps as the tight end 1. So if Darren Waller misses any more time after the bye week, Foster Moreau is going to be the guy that we're looking for there. Outside of the top 3 receivers, you see Kenyon Drake, 39% of the snaps. Josh Jacobs played really well, 36% of the snaps, but he left with a chest contusion. Backups and fullbacks and stuff here. So let's take a peek at these box scores. On the Raiders side, real quick, Derek Carr was fantastic. 31 of 34, 323 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Just a fantastic game from Derek Carr, hyper efficient. Again, with Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs taking the lead here, you see Drake get 14 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. He also added 3 for 10 as a receiver. Josh Jacobs, before he got hurt, he went 6 for 29 and a touchdown, 3 for 39 as a receiver. So I like seeing Jacobs get more used in the passing game. Jalen Richard got some run here as the number 3 back. But Henry Ruggs, 1 for 7 as a rusher, 4 for 24 as a receiver. So kind of disappointing. We were excited to see him a little bit. And then Foster Moreau, man, 6 targets, 6 for 60 and a score. Huge day for him. Hunter Renfro, team high 8 targets, 7 for 58. So we see him get another double-digit PPR day. He's so far through 7 games, he's only had one game below 10 points. So I think for now, Hunter Renfro is a wide receiver 3 with some upside for PPR. Zay Jones goes 1 for 43. Bryan Edwards, though, 4 targets, 3 for 43 in his first score of the season here. So very fruitful day for the Raiders. As far as the Eagles, Jalen Hurts continues to struggle as a passer, 18 of 34, 236 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. He also added 61 yards on the ground, and he did lose a fumble in this one here. With Miles Sanders missing the majority of the game, you see, why is this wholly showing as orange? Show all rows. What are we doing here? There we go. So you see Miles Sanders, 6 for 30 as a rusher, 1 for -3. At this point, Miles Sanders might be headed to IR. We'll see what happens with that ankle injury. But Boston Scott gets a rushing touchdown on the day, 7 for 24 in the rushing touchdown, 1 for 5 as a receiver. Kenneth Gainwell, 5 for 20 on the ground. 8 targets, 4 for 41, and a touchdown here. He did lose a fumble too, but Gainwell's going to have some flex appeal this week if Sanders is indeed going to miss. You see Dallas Goedert get 5 targets, 3 for 70 as a receiver. Devonta Smith, a team high 9 targets, but only 5 for 61 as a receiver here. That's still a nice wide receiver 3 floor day. Quez Watkins, 4 targets, 2 for 37. And then Jalen Reagor catches both of his targets for 25 yards and a touchdown. So with no Zach Ertz, you look how many players touch the ball for the Eagles. It's really consolidated. And then if we remove Miles Sanders from this list, some of these guys we might be using for fantasy, whether it's Smith, Goddard, Gainwell, maybe Boston Scott. Some interesting pieces here. But again, the Eagles offense continues to disappoint. Let's move on to the Lions and the LA Rams. The Rams win 28-19. They move to 6-1. The Lions fall to 0-7. For the Lions here, they played some inspired ball during this game. You saw Khalif Raymond lead the way at 81% of the snaps. TJ Hawkinson, 80%. DeAndre Swift, 75% of the snaps here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 62%. And then just a kind of a bunch of junk here. Cordero Hodge, Geronimo Allison, Darren Fells. There's Jamal Williams down here at 29% of the snaps. On the Rams side, you see Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods both play 97% of the snaps here. And Van Jefferson, man, he might be an interesting guy for fantasy. He goes 94% of the snaps in this one. Darrell Henderson dominated the backfield snaps here, 88% of the snaps for him. Sony Michel only got 12. So what I like about the Rams, it's very consolidated. We know who's going to catch the ball. We know who's going to be on the field. We know who's going to run the ball. So very simple. Let's take a peek at this box score real quick. And again, when I say that, I just look how many people touch the ball for the Rams. It's very simple what they're trying to do here. So you see Matthew Stafford go 28 of 41, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was only sacked once on the day here. And then Darrell Henderson, quiet day for Henderson, 15 carries, 45 yards. You're kind of disappointed if you got this, but 6 targets, 3 for 19. So this is a floor game. You'll take your 9 to 10 PPR points and move on to the next week. But Sony Michel, only 2 for 4 as a rusher. Cooper Kupp had a massive day, 13 targets, 10 for 156, and 2 scores in this one. Robert Woods, a fine day here, 6 targets, 6 for 70 as a receiver, so that's a floor for him. But Tyler Higbee, second on the team in targets with 8, 5 for 46 as a receiver. And Van Jefferson, 7 targets, 4 for 43, and the touchdown here. Van Jefferson starting to pique my interest just a little bit. As far as the Lions, you see Jared Goff go 22 of 36, 268 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions here. A decent day for Jared Goff. We're still not really too excited about him for Superflex leagues quite yet. You see Jamal Williams go 12 for 57 as a rusher. DeAndre Swift gets 13 attempts for 48 yards, 10 targets for DeAndre Swift, 8 for 96 and a touchdown. Basically getting running back and receiving duties as the best player on the offense here. Khalif Raymond had quite the day as well. 8 targets, 6 for 115 as a weapon. TJ Hawkinson saw 9 targets, 6 for 48. It's a TJ Hawkinson floor. You'll take that. And then nothing else from the rest of the guys here. Darren Fells, Cordero Hodge, Geronimo Allison, Amon-Ra St. Brown not even getting a target. So frustrating day again for the Lions here, but you got some bright spots. DeAndre Swift's playing well. Khalif Raymond's playing well. TJ Hawkinson's playing well. We just need this team to continue to get healthier. Maybe Tyrell Williams can help out the passing attack. But again, 28-19, the Rams take this one. Lions fall to 0-7. Probably there's a lot of surprises today, but the Bengals winning 41-17 against the Ravens in Baltimore might have been, I don't know what's more shocking, Baltimore losing to the Bengals 41-17 or Kansas City losing 3-27 to Tennessee, but both of them are up there. Bengals take it, move to 5-2. Ravens fall to 5-2 here. Let's take a peek at the snaps. Joe Burrow had a massive day. We'll get to the numbers in a bit, but he only played 89% of this game. Jamar Chase was the leading skill player on the day, 84%. CJ Uzama, 83% of the snaps for him. Tyler Boyd, 71%. T. Higgins, 67%. Joe Mixon, only 54% of the snaps. Samaje Perine did get 48% of the snaps here. And nothing for Chris Evans on the day here. For the Baltimore Ravens, you see Marquise Brown play 86% of the snaps. Lamar Jackson, only 84% for him. Mark Andrews, 68%. Rashad Bateman, the number 2 receiver for the Ravens right now with Sammy Watkins out, he gets 63%. And then the running backs are just a mess. Devonta Freeman played 40%. Le'Veon Bell played 30%. Tyson Williams played 29%. So it remains a mess at running back for the Ravens. Let's take a peek at their numbers. Lamar Jackson, rough day, 15 of 31 passing, 257 yards and a touchdown. He was sacked 5 times. 12 attempts for 88 yards as a rusher, though. So he kind of had a decent floor day if you had Lamar in there. But Devonta Freeman, 4 for 14 and a touchdown here, 3 for 25 as a receiver. If you played him during the apocalypse, you got rewarded for the touchdown. Tyson Williams, 2 for 10 as a rusher, 2 for 24 as a receiver. Le'Veon Bell, only 5 attempts for 5 yards, 1 catch for -1 yards as a receiver. Marquise Brown, 14 targets on the day, by basically half of the targets from Lamar Jackson, but 5 for 80 and a touchdown here. Rashad Bateman, 6 targets, 3 for 80. I'm starting to like Bateman. The Ravens are on bye this week, so we'll see if Sammy Watkins can play week 9, but Bateman might be the number 2 receiver going forward here. Mark Andrews, 7 targets, only 3 for 48. And then nothing from Josh Oliver, James Proche, or Devin Duvernay. On the Bengals side, Joe Burrow, not a very efficient day, 23 of 38, 416 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked once in this one. But the 23 of 38, a little bit concerning. He did throw a lot of 50-50 balls to T. Higgins in this one. But Jamar Chase, man, we'll get to him in a second. Really huge day for him. But Joe Mixon, 12 carries, 59 yards, and a touchdown here. No receptions in the passing game here. Samaje Perine had some backup duties, 11 for 52, and he got a nice big touchdown run, 1 for 23 as a receiver here. So both guys looking good on the ground. Jamar Chase, 10 targets, 8 for 201 yards, and a touchdown. Just absolutely massive. He had the 82-yard score. Just insane. Jamar Chase, man, playing like a top 3, top 5 receiver for fantasy. We saw CJ Uzama, 3 targets, 3 receptions, 91 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day for him. They just could not get him. They couldn't cover him. They were just letting him run free. So Burrow found him. T. Higgins had a massive targets of 15 targets today, only 7 for 62 as a receiver. He looked really good. He had a couple plays that were a lot of 50-50 balls. So maybe there's some brighter days ahead against the Jets next week. And then Tyler Boyd, 7 targets, but 4 for 39. So pretty frustrating for Tyler Boyd. I'm not sure we'll be trusting him in our lineups going forward. But for now, Jamar Chase, CJ Uzama, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. It's working for the Bengals. They'll have a fun game coming up against who do they play? Bengals play week 8. Who did the Bengals play? They play the Jets. I mentioned that already. So fun game. We'll see if the offense can keep it rolling. The Sunday night football game for week 7 here, you see the Colts take this one 30-18 on the road at San Fran. Pretty impressive. Colts move to 3-4. 49ers fall to 2-4. Rain, tons of rain in this game. We see Michael Pittman get 91% of the snaps, Zach Pascal 84%. Jack Doyle led the way for tight ends at 74%. Jonathan Taylor played 69% here. You got another third receiver, Ashton Doolin, 63%. Molly Cox, he's looking really good. He's just not getting the snaps yet, but 63% for him. Naheem Hines, 28%. I don't know if it's going to happen for Hines at any point this year. And then on the 49er side, Deebo Samuel looked like a baller, 86% of the snaps. Brandon Ayuk, 71%. Elijah Mitchell, the clear running back to own here, 66% of the snaps. You saw Charlie Warner outsnap Ross Dwelly while Kittle is still sidelined. Mohamed Sanu, 50%. Ross Dwelly, 48%. Juszczyk played him a good amount, 46%. And then JaMycal Hasty, the only other running back to get a touch. So pretty concerning for Trey Sermon. Not even getting a snap with Hasty and Elijah Mitchell and Kyle Juszczyk all healthy here. So he might be droppable in all redraft leagues for now. As far as the box score goes, Jimmy G, 16 of 27, 181 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and he also lost a fumble. Elijah Mitchell, though, 18 carries, 107 yards, 1 touchdown, no targets, but man, you'll take that 100-yard day and the touchdown. Brandon Ayuk had a 3-yard carry, only 1 target in this one, 1 for 6. As a receiver, JaMycal Hasty, 3 attempts, only 1 yard. He did catch 3 for 15, though, as a passing weapon. This one was all about Deebo Samuel. Him and Elijah Mitchell are the offense right now. 11 targets, 7 for 100 yards and a touchdown. He did lose a fumble, but Deebo continues to look really good. And then just really nothing from anybody else. Charlie Warner, 2 for 30. Sanu, 1 for 16. Trent Sherfield, who got the first play of the game, 1 for 9. Just a bunch of junk here on the bottom. But continue to use Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel. We'll see if George Kittle can get back in the offense soon. But Brandon Ayuk, man, I don't know if we need to hold on to him much longer. For the Indianapolis Colts, Carson Wentz, 17 of 26, 150 yards passing, but he gets 2 touchdowns, 23 yards rushing, and another touchdown on the ground. He did lose a fumble in this one, but Carson Wentz playing a little bit, just a little bit more loose this year than we've seen him in the past. He looks like he's having fun again, which is good to see. You have Jonathan Taylor here, 18 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Same line as Elijah Mitchell, which is weird. But 3 targets, 3 catches for 3 yards. He did lose a fumble, one of the first plays of the game here. Nyheim Hines, 8 for 14 as a rusher, 1 catch for -2 yards. It's hard to trust Nyheim Hines. I think I'd rather let someone else deal with it. If you had to make room on your roster, I'd be okay with it. Michael Pittman Jr., leading receiver on the day, 4 targets, 4 catches, 105 yards in the final touchdown of the game there. Mulally Cox, 3 for 25 and a touchdown. And then just nothing from anybody else. Pascal, only 3 for 14. Kiki Cutie now on the Colts, 1 for 5. Just a rough day for some of these guys down here. But low yardage game. It was a rain game again, so we shouldn't have expected too much here. But the Colts found a way to power through and get the road win. Michael Pittman Jr. looks really good, guys. I think for fantasy, Jonathan Taylor, of course, a top 5, top 10 running back. You have Michael Pittman Jr. as a top 30, top 36 wide receiver right now. And then Mulally Cox has been playing really well the last 4 games here. So the Colts take it 30-18. We'll move on to our final game here. Probably one of the least exciting games as well, as the Buccaneers squash the Chicago Bears 38-3. 6-1 for the Buccaneers, 3-4 Chicago Bears. Let's look at the snap counts real quick. For the Bears, Justin Fields played the whole game, 100% of the snaps. Allen Robinson up here at 94%. Cole Kmet, 89% of the snaps. Darnell Mooney, 86%. Khalil Herbert had a pretty good game on the ground. We'll talk about him in just a second. 77% for him. And then everything else is kind of hard to talk about. Marquis Goodwin played 53%, backup tight end. Jesse James here at 39%. And then Jameer Byrd. Damian Williams just getting outperformed by Khalil Herbert. Only 17% of the snaps for Damian. On the Buccaneers side, Tom Brady didn't have to play the full game. He played 89%. Chris Godwin logged 84% of the snaps. Mike Evans up here at 77%. Tyler Johnson, wide receiver in for Antonio Brown. He played 67% of the snaps. And then you got Cameron Brate, 55% as the lead tight end. Leonard Fournette, 53% as the lead running back. O.J. Howard played 51%. And then Ronald Jones, some garbage time duty here, 19%. You got Giovanni Bernard, only 15% of the snaps here too. But let's talk about the numbers real quick. Tom Brady, not a very efficient day, 20 of 36, but he gets 211 yards and he passes for 4 touchdowns. No rushing attempts on the day here, but you'll take those touchdowns if you had Tom Brady in. As a runner, Leonard Fournette, 15 for 81 and a touchdown, only 2 for 9 as a receiver. Ronald Jones goes 10 carries for 63 yards. He did lose a fumble, it says in this one. I can't recall that. But Keyshawn Vaughn, 5 for 27 as a rusher. He even got some work. But Chris Godwin, man, this was all about Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Godwin gets 11 targets, 8 for 111 yards, and 1 touchdown. Mike Evans, 10 targets, 6 for 76, and 3 touchdowns from Mike Evans. So huge day for the top 2 receivers. Tyler Johnson, 2 for 16. O.J. Howard, 1 for 9. Giovanni Bernard, 2 for 5. Again, it was all about Godwin, Evans, and Leonard Fournette. So Tampa Bay keeps it rolling. Ronald Jones did look good as a backup runner, but again, he's purely a handcuff to Leonard Fournette at the moment. And then Justin Fields, man, 22 of 32 as a passer. 184 yards, but 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles lost. He did add 38 yards here, but man, it was ugly from the get-go for Justin Fields. The bright spot of the day, Khalil Herbert, 18 carries, 100 yards, 5 catches on 5 targets for 33. So Khalil Herbert looking like a player here that the Bears can rely on going forward. Damian Williams was an afterthought, 3 for 5 as a rusher, 1 for 3 as a receiver. You see Cole Kmet lead the way for receiving. 6 targets, 5 for 43. You got Darnell Mooney, 5 targets, 2 for 39. Jesse James, 3 for 20. Allen Robinson, 4 targets, 2 for 16. We're at a crossroads with Allen Robinson. If you want to just cut him, I mean, at this point, let somebody else kind of hang on to this and try the guessing game. But I just don't see it getting any better for Allen Robinson. I know it was a tough game against Tampa Bay. Maybe they're brighter days ahead, but Allen Robinson probably not going to be a part of our starting units until he can prove to us that it's worthwhile. But just a tough day. Basically, it was Khalil Herbert showing up. Cole Kmet looking fine as a fringe tight end option, 5 for 43. You like that. But at the moment right now, the Bears offense is not where we want to be for fantasy. Again, Tampa Bay 38, Chicago 3. Just a rough day here. So again, we just covered all week 7 snap counts and box scores. We got a New Orleans Saints, Seattle Seahawks game coming up, so I'm excited about that. If you guys are new to the Fantasy Fellowship, you guys should definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check us out on TikTok. Check us out on thefantasyfellowship.com. I'll be uploading the waiver wire and a couple other things on there for tomorrow's show. Tuesday night, we'll do the waiver wire show. Thursday night, we'll have a start sit fiesta. So thank you guys so much for checking it out. Share it with a friend if you guys are new. And thank you so much. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.